Motorola is probably at this point best known for making the best mid-range and inexpensive smartphones you'll find on the market right now, and they're trying to keep that going with this, the new Motorola G7. Obviously, this is the 7th generation Moto G device, but it's only one of 3 that Motorola is showing off here in New York. The G7, of course, is sort of the flagship, but we do also have the Moto G7 Play, which brings some of this power into a smaller form factor, and the Moto G7 Power, which despite the name isn't any more powerful, but packs a huge battery. Let's take a closer look. I think we need to start with the G7 because it very much defines the theme that these other 2 devices sort of play with. So this device has a Snapdragon 632 chipset and 4 gigabytes of RAM. That chipset, by the way, is what you're going to find in all 3 of these devices. Motorola hasn't really done this before. It usually likes to choose different chipsets for different price-tiered smartphones, just so everyone gets kind of the power that's appropriate for the price point. This year, though, Motorola is saying, you know what, we're not worried about that so much. Everyone gets the same level of performance, more or less. You will find some RAM differences. The Play, the smaller of the 3, has 2 gigabytes of RAM, the G7 has 4, and the Power has 3. So yeah, a little tricky to keep that all straight, but it is nice though, the idea that no matter what version of the Moto G7 you get, there is a certain level of performance you can expect, even with those RAM differences in mind. Really what the G7 brings to the table is what feels like a very potent blend of power and style. Obviously that chipset does run very quickly, and when you couple that with a very, very clean build of Android 9.0 Pie, you've got an experience that in typical Motorola fashion feels as close to Google as you're going to get without actually buying a Pixel phone. There are a few other things to point out. This device has the 6.2-inch Max Vision display. That's an LCD screen that Motorola has stretched out to an aspect ratio of 19:9. So it's a little bit taller than some of the other smartphones you'll find out there, but it does fit nicely in your hand, and it does mean that there's a lot of space to work with, even though this package feels remarkably usable day to day. I should also point out the bezels around this display are pretty notable, but again, this is like a $300 phone, so you do have to take the good with the bad. The chin, I will say, is a little on the heinous side. It's big enough that Motorola can squeeze its logo down there, and it's not a tiny logo. There's a lot of room down there. That said, Motorola did go with a teardrop cutout instead of the more traditional notch to house this front-facing camera. And speaking of cameras, by the way, we have a dual camera on the back, which is pretty standard fare for most higher-end Moto G series devices, but it is worth pointing out that the 12 megapixel camera and the 5 megapixel depth sensor are capable of some pretty interesting tricks. So far, the photos seem nice enough. We haven't spent a ton of time with this phone, so it's really difficult to say how good this thing is, but based off of what I've seen so far, it's more than adequate for day-to-day use. You can throw these shots on Instagram and not worry about it so much. As usual though, Motorola has tried to innovate on software and has given this camera a few extra features that might actually help you out in the real world. My favorite so far has been auto smile capture, which basically does exactly what the name implies. Once the front-facing or rear-facing cameras detects a smiling face in front of it, it'll automatically snap a photo to make sure everyone looks more or less good in this photo. I will say it doesn't do great with my sort of half-closed mouth smiles. It only really takes it when your mouth is fully open and your teeth are shining through. So if you're like me and a bit shy that way, you might have a little trouble with this. Motorola has also talked up its improved digital zoom. Basically, once you get past 2x zoom, it switches into a focus stacking mode, which basically just takes multiple exposures and stitches them into one that should look better than any of its constituent parts. In my experience, though, it hasn't been that great. Again, it's not been that long that we've been able to play with this thing. But on the streets of New York, just taking some test photos, these zoomed-in shots still really don't look much better even after any of this focus stacking takes place. Then again, it's digital zoom. It was always going to be kind of crap to start with. So yeah, like I said, the Moto G7 very much provides the foundation that Motorola has played with for its other 2 new devices. And arguably the more interesting of the 2 is the Moto G7 Power, if only because Motorola has never actually brought one of its power devices to the US before. Now, we need to make this absolutely clear. If you're walking into this expecting this to be a more powerful phone, you're only sort of right. Performance, again, is absolutely the same because they all use the same chipset, but the G7 Power does have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which Motorola says is rated for up to 3 days of use on a single charge. Now, that's a pretty big claim, and one that we're looking forward to testing. For now, though, consider us cautiously optimistic. I should also point out that this is not a dramatically bigger phone than the standard G7. It uses the same 6.2-inch display, but the difference in terms of width and weight is almost negligible. It's a very comfortable phone to use, even when you're sort of putzing around on it for long periods of time. That added weight, at least at this point, seems very, very well worth it because it's barely noticeable as is. And now we come to the little guy, the Moto G7 Play, which has honestly been a bit of a pleasant surprise. It is a obviously smaller device with its 5.7-inch LCD display. I am actually pretty taken with this thing. It's been a while since I've used a smaller smartphone, especially one as light as this thing, but there is a lot to like about it. Again, Android Pie runs really, really clean and nicely on this device. The camera is a much more traditional 13-megapixel affair, and it's honestly really not that much to write home about, but the idea of having a very clean, very potent Android device for about $200, and especially one that kind of feels as nice as this thing is, as strange as that might be to hear, that's going to be an appealing factor for a lot of people. I should also point out how quickly the notch has become sort of something that's relegated to lower-end devices, because you'll only find the traditional wide notch with the speaker built into the G7 Play and Power. The G7 has that actually really quite nice teardrop display that we're starting to see pop up in really all of the mid-range phones of note. After playing with all three of these devices, I am at once optimistic for what Motorola is trying to do here, and also just a little bit confused. The differential in price between these phones is actually pretty small. Starting from the bottom, the Moto G7 Play is $199, the Moto G7 Power is $249, and the high-end Moto G7 is $299. Again, Motorola has stressed that you get very similar performance across the board, and I wonder if people will actually splurge for a more capable device like the G7 when you get a lot of what makes it important in a device that costs $100 less. Whether or not this kind of works out the way Motorola wants it to remains to be seen, but at the very least, if you're a smartphone shopper on a budget, you've got plenty of options to work with.